But that's the whole tragic point, my friends. What would I do if I could suddenly feel and to know once again that what I feel is real? I could cry, I could smile, I might lay back for a while. Tell me what would I do if I could feel?
NBL Nation, the Madden Brotherhood League, what is up? It's your boy, Coach Ty, the host with the most, back for another exciting edition of Coach Ty's Corner, where we break down all things Madden and NBL related. Coming to you with show number 2. We're pretty close to the halfway point in the league. So at this point in time, it's kind of a good time to do a show because you kind of get to see certain trends and you kind of get to see the state of the league and you kind of get to see where things are and speak with some conviction when you speak on things, because we're at 7 to 8 games played. At this point, the commissioner, Philly and Canada, is just advanced, and we are on week 8. So at this point in time, I'm going to open up with Coach Ty's top 5 offenses, top 5 defenses, worst 5 offenses, and worst 5 defenses. Now, keep in mind, the sheet I put together was right before Philly advanced, because Philly literally advanced about 10 minutes before I did this show. So things may have changed a little bit, so we're going to go back and kind of look at things right now as it stands. I'm on the PlayStation. So coming in at number 5, the Houston Texans. Record 4-3-0. They have they're on the 5th ranked best offense in the league. 2,805 yards of offense, 2,073 passing yards, 732 rushing yards. They are scoring 34.4 points a game, which is pretty good. They have a record of 4-3. I'm guessing they've had some defensive troubles because they have a pretty good offense. So to be 4-3, I'm guessing the issues haven't been on offense. They've been more defensively orientated. The 4th ranked offense in the league, Coach UGA and the Chicago Bears. 2,841 yards of offense, 1,556 passing yards, 1,285 rushing yards, 33.7 points per game, and I believe Matt Forte is the league's top rusher. If not 1, he's 2 right now. Things may have changed by the advance, but I know for a fact, having played UGA, definitely offense isn't a problem. The guy can score in bunches, especially if you can't stop his run. He's 2-5-0, so all of his troubles have been defensively, but offensively, the Bears have the 4th best ranked offense in the league. Coming in number 3, the Tennessee Titans. Blair Basis is the coach. 2,903 offensive yards, 1,620 pass yards, 1,283 rushing yards, 36.3 points per game, and a record of 3-4-0. Haven't spoke to Blair recently. I'm trying to catch up to him, but from what I've seen in the chat, the guy just had some tough breaks. Had some tough breaks in his personal life, and game-wise had some tough breaks. The ball's not bouncing his way, not getting any Madden love. Because if you look at his offense, I mean, it's a perfectly balanced offense. It's potent, it's high-powered. His defense is pretty good. So to be 3-4-0, ball's just not bouncing his way. He needs to continue to do what he's doing on offense, ride the storm out, and maybe he can somewhat salvage his season. But the Titans have the number 3 ranked offense in our league. Number 2, Coach Spud. The San Francisco 49ers, 2,911 yards on total offense, 1,817 passing yards, 1,094 rushing, 37.4 points per game. You can't really ask for much more than that on offense. He's pretty balanced. He can put points up in bunches. He can do it through the air and through the ground. It's 5-2-0, tied for first in the NFC West. Can't really ask for much more than that. Coach Spud, good job. Keep doing what you're doing. And the number one ranked offense in the NBL, the New England Patriots. I don't know this gentleman. He's new to the league. He's 6-1-0. He's definitely a player. He's got some impressive wins, including a win over Fogras a week or two ago. He puts up points in bunches. Number one offense in the league, 3,441 yards on offense, 2,665 passing, 776 rushing, 42 points a game. Obviously, he's getting it done through the air. He's not neglecting the run, but he's, I'd say, more pass heavy. 42 points a game, guys. Good luck to whoever's got to D that up. So that, at this time, is the top 5 offenses in our league. And now, at this time, another popular segment we like to do is the worst 5. So, at number 5, the 5th worst offense in the NBL, the Cincinnati Bengals. You wouldn't know it because Coach Fogras is 5-2-0. He's got 2,328 yards on offense, 1,514 passing yards, 814 rushing yards. He's putting up 29 points a game. If I had to guess, looking at his offense, he prefers to run first. He will pass if he needs to. He's he's first in the AFC North with a 5-2-0 record. So, despite the stats, it's hard to knock what he's doing because he's first in that division. I just played him last game. It was a tough, knockdown, drag-out battle. He didn't hit me with anything big. He plays a short, conservative type style of passing offense, and he prefers to run first. And again, despite the stats, kind of hard to knock the man when he's first in his division at 5-2-0. But he is the 5th worst offense in our league. The 4th worst offense in the NBL, the Washington Redskins. They are power ranked number 1 according to CCM. The Washington Redskins are undefeated at 6-0-0. They are first in the NFC East. 2,117 yards on total offense, 853 passing yards, 1,254 rushing yards, 29.2 points a game. Points is not necessarily an issue for the Redskins, but their passing offense is anemic. Coach Philly, Canada survived a scare against UGA. I said this last coach show, I'm going to say it again this show. If Philly doesn't get a pass game to go along with that run game, when he plays games like he did against Chicago and he can't run the ball the way he wants to, it's going to be some tough sledding for him. He needs to address his pass offense. He's currently the 4th worst offense in the league. And number 3, the Baltimore Ravens. 2,044 passing yards, 1,580 passing yards, 454 rushing yards. 19 points a game on average. Well, part of that's due with the fact that Staff Sergeant Pettigrew doesn't see fit to play his games. I think this is his 2nd or 3rd sim he suffered. He has been replaced this week with former NBL owner ABNTX. So everyone is listening, ABNTX will be replacing Staff Sergeant Pettigrew of the Baltimore Ravens. He's had his fair share of sims. Opponents cannot get a hold of Staff Sergeant. He has not been accessible to myself or Philly. We're going to replace him at this time. So the new owner of the Baltimore Ravens is ABNTX, and he's inherited an offense that's ranked 3rd last in the league offensively. Again, 2 sims have a lot to do with that. The 2nd worst offense in the NBL, the Green Bay Packers. My engineer Reggie hates when I get on his Packers, but they are 3-3-0. 2,054 total yards of offense, 1,152 passing yards, 902 rush yards. So he's pretty balanced. Pass game is not the best, but he's putting up 32 points a game. Now, I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that the Green Bay Packers had an early bye in the season, so they're a game behind everybody stat-wise. But numbers don't lie, and currently right now the Packers have the 2nd worst offense in our league. We'll see if Coach Reggie, once he gets caught up on his bye week, can improve on that. And the worst offense in the NBL belongs to the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts have 1,862 total yards of offense, which I think Matthew Stafford has more yards passing by himself on my team than his whole team is offense. 1,444 passing yards, 418 rushing yards, 21 points per game. The numbers speak for themselves. Pass game definitely is lacking right now. Run game is not there. Not sure quite how he's put up 21 points with offensive stats, the stat anemic, but he's getting it done. So, Indianapolis Colts, it's time to hit the lab. Maybe get you an ebook. Something's got to be done because 1,400 yards passing and 400 yards rushing, that isn't exactly getting it done. The Indianapolis Colts have the worst offense in the league. So at this time, now that we've addressed offense, we're going to go ahead and shift positions, and we're going to slide to defense. And we're going to start with the top 5 in terms of best defenses in the NBL. Coming in at number 5, the 5th best defense in our league, the Green Bay Packers. They've only given up a total of 1,966 yards total. They've given up 1,275 yards passing. They've given up 691 yards rushing. They've given up 153 points. Now, once again, because I called out the fact that Officer Reggie, the coach of the Packers, was one game behind in offense, I definitely need to point out the fact that he's one game behind in defense. So while his defense is good and it's steady, not necessarily sure to be the 5th best defense if he didn't have that bye week. But the defense is pretty good. 4th ranked defense in the NBL, the Miami Dolphins. Surprise, surprise. They're 1-5-0. But they have the 4th best defense in our league, so do not take them lightly. They've only given up 1,425 yards passing. They've given up 520 yards rushing and only 172 points. Hard to believe a team with the 4th best defense in the entire league is 1-5. I've got to believe offensively there's some troubles going on there, or they've just got some really bad breaks. But if the Dolphins continue to play defense the way they've been playing it, and they can improve some things on offense and clean up some turnovers, they should be looking at a much better second half of the season. 3rd best defense in the NBL, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were coached for the longest by Coach Fightin' Phils. They're now coached by Coach Noli, who got his first win with this team to keep them undefeated. They've given up 1,418 yards passing, 376 yards rushing, which is insane, and they've only given up 116 points. Don't know what to say about the Jags. I mean, they were the 32nd team selected in the draft. Their personnel is not great, but between Fightin' Phils predominantly and now Noli, they've matched their schemes with their personnel to be very effective. Big thing going forward here is, can Coach Noli keep up the momentum that Coach Fightin' Phillies had? Right now they're 7-0. They're in firm command of the AFC North, and we'll see what happens as the story unfolds. 2nd ranked defense in the NBL, the Minnesota Vikings, Coach Candy. They've only given up 1,278 yards passing, 363 yards rushing, and 114 points. That's just a stout defense all around. You're not able to run on them, and they're controlling you in the passing game, and they haven't given up much points at all. No secrets with Coach Candy. Prefers to play a zone-based coverage type defense. He's very smart with his adjustments. It's hard to exploit him in the pass game, and if you can't run, you're in trouble. Because if you can't run and you're one-dimensional, he makes his living off forcing you into bad throws and bad reads, which explains why he's 6-0-0 and in first place in the NFC North. What else can I say? And the number 1 ranked defense in the NBL at this time are the Washington Redskins. The commissioner, Coach Philly in Canada, 6-0-0, first place and in firm command in the NFC East. His numbers are just freaking mind-boggling. The guy's given up less than 1,000 yards passing 7 games into the season. 962 pass yards he's only given up for the entire season. 528 rush. He's given up 104 points. That is freaking phenomenal. Keep in mind, I said this guy had one of the worst offenses in the league, statistically, but we see now why he's in first place. I played Coach Philly, very smart on defense, mixes in being aggressive with coverage, hasn't made any mistakes. He may give up some yards in the run game, but not enough to hurt him, and you cannot pass the ball against him. That guy's defense is lights out, and he deserves to be ranked number 1. Because, again, I've played the guy, and I've seen what he's working with, and it's freaking phenomenal. So, the Washington Redskins are holding firm right now with the number 1 spot in terms of the best defense in the league. So, At this time, we'll now take a look at the 5 worst defenses in the league. And we will start with the Buffalo Bills. For all the flash, dazz, and pizzazzle of the Bills offense, and E.J. Manuel and C.J. Spiller with the read option, they have the 5th worst defense in the league. They've given up a total of 2,800 yards. They've given up 1,974 passing yards. They've given up 866 rushing yards. They've given up 199 points. So, going into a game with the Buffalo Bills, who are currently 2nd in the AFC East, they're going to score a lot of points on offense, but they're not necessarily holding anybody down. So, when you play the Bills, be prepared for a shootout. The 4th worst defense in the league at this time is very surprising to me, because it's the Cleveland Browns and it's Coach Jimmy, who's 3-4-0. And anybody who's known Jimmy, who's been in the NBL since it started, has known Coach Jimmy has made his living off 2 things. 1, a power run game, and 2, a suffocating defense that doesn't give up a lot of yards and points. So to see Coach Jimmy at 3-4 and with the 4th worst defense in the league, I've got to believe there's been a few difficulties adjusting to the new style of gameplay. He's given up 2,840 yards of total offense, 1,771 pass yards, 1,069 rushing yards, and 237 points. So out the gate, the first thing I'm looking at is the fact that Jim's given up 1,069 yards rushing. So if there's an Achilles heel to the Browns, it's their run defense, which you would never expect coming from Jimmy. But again, I'm looking at the numbers as we speak, and the numbers don't lie. So tighten up that run D, Coach Jimmy. The 3rd worst defense in the NBL, the Chicago Bears, 2-5-0. They've given up 2,963 yards total, 1,643 yards passing, 1,320 yards rushing, 254 points. At this point, no disrespect to Coach UGA, but the Bears defense is just a sieve. They're giving up the run, they're giving up the pass. Again, I believe the Bears have the number 1 rushing league in Matt Forte, but he'd have to rush for about 1,000 yards if he's not going to stop anybody. Case in point, I played him, gave up almost 500 yards rushing to Matt Forte, and the Bears still lost. If UGA can figure out some type of way to slow people down, which it looks like he did a good job against Philly and the Washington Redskins last week, he should definitely be able to start stockpiling some wins. Defense is definitely the Achilles heel here, and it's all across the board. 2nd worst ranked defense in the league, the San Diego Chargers and Coach Kofi. I can't say I'm surprised. Year in and year out, anybody that knows Kofi brings a high-powered vertical offense to the table, and he's never had defense since day 1 in the NBL. When you play Kofi, it's going to be a shootout. If you can stop what he likes to do and even put up an average amount of points, he's got no shot, because once again, he's given up 1,553 yards passing. He's given up 1,525 yards rushing. So he's literally given up yardage through the air, through the ground. He just can't stop anybody, and he's given up 327 points, which is why he's 1-6. Coach Koof, you got to spend some time in the lab, my man. Spend as much time in the lab playing defense as you do practicing user catches, that you might be able to string together back-to-back wins here. And the worst-ranked defense in the NBL, Coach WFH X-Ray, my man Sam, we fly high, X-Ray, has given up 2,178 yards passing, 987 yards rushing, and 264 points. X-Ray's a good guy. X-Ray was one of the newer owners added to the league last year. Definitely got to lock it down in the pass game. You either need to develop some type of blitz, my man, so people don't have all day, or you better perfect the coverage defense, because right now your pass defense isn't stopping the nosebleed. And it's a big reason why you're 2-5-0, because your offense is pretty good. So there we have it, folks. Top 5 best and worst offenses and defenses in NBL. Now, at this time, I'd like to go over CoachTy's top 5 power ranking. This isn't the CCM power ranking. This is who I believe, as Coach Ty, are the 5 best teams in the league, and they will differ from CCM, but I'll give an explanation as to why. And when I do these top 5 rankings, this is best team overall. This isn't one area like offense and defense. This is the best of the best. I believe the 5th best team in the NBL is the Seattle Seahawks, and that's Coach Hard Work, a.k.a. Lockdown. Coach Locke has had to deal with a few different sims. I want to say 2 or 3 due to various circumstances. He took a sim loss, so in actuality, he could very easily be 6-1. He hasn't changed his personnel a great deal in Seattle. They were a solid team at the beginning of the year. They're a solid team now. He's got a pretty decent offense, although as of late he struggled offensively, and his defense has been pretty damn good. I had kind of San Francisco tied up with Seattle for the top 5 in terms of the 5th best team in the league, but I have to give the notch to Seattle because I think Coach Spud trades a person a day. There are a few people in the league, and Coach Spud is one of them, that feel the need to make trades every day, all day. Now, I'm sure if I asked him, he'd probably say, hey, there were contract issues, people weren't re-signing, but we all know Coach Spud, and we all know Coach Spud, and we all know Coach Noli, and Coach Koofy, that they trade just to trade. I'm at work, I'm bored, there's nothing else to do, let me look at everybody's roster, and let me make a trade. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but I'm just going to make a trade because I want to make a trade. So when you draft the San Francisco 49ers, and they're pretty much the best team in the league, and you feel the need to trade half that team away, unexplained, and you change that personnel drastically, you're taking something away from the Niners. The Niners team as a whole, as a collective, is probably the best team in the game. On defense, they're ferocious hitters. On offense, they're conservative, but they're built for the long haul. And when you change the dynamic, I just can't give you the nod as a top 5 team because I believe you've hurt your team and taken something away from it. So in closing, the 5th best team in the league according to my rankings, Seattle Seahawks at 5-2. By the way, the Niners are tied with the Seahawks at 5-2 for number 1 in the NFC West. The 4th best team in Ty's top 5, the New England Patriots. Again, I don't know anything about this guy. All I know is he's a newer owner. He's quiet. You don't really see him in the chat, but the guy's record speaks for himself. I believe he's 6-1. He's beaten Fogra. He's beaten Buffalo. He's got a very high-powered offense. He puts up a lot of points on the board. It's predominantly through the air, and he's proven early on that he is a force to be reckoned with. So I haven't personally played him and don't know him, but the numbers don't lie, and I have to give credit where credit is due. Number 3 best team in Ty's top 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I know a lot of people are going to go, hey, wait a minute, Ty. They're 7-0. How are they number 3? Who the hell is 1 and 2? I have them at 7. I have them as the 3rd best team because even though they're 7-0, I don't know what Coach Noli's going to bring to the table yet. We know what we had with fighting Philly. Don't know about Noli. Coach Noli was one of the founding fathers of the NBL. Stepped out last year. Stepped back in. Has vowed not to leave the league again. He is currently the owner of the Jags. I believe he's got 2 wins since taking them over. So he's not a fluke. But until he's got a few more games under his belt, I don't know what exactly he's going to bring to the table. He has made a few moves to change up some of that personnel. Maybe adding Victor Cruz to that team. So Coach Noli is doing what he does. And that's making trades. It's yet to be seen if they will benefit the team. We'll put the team at a disadvantage. But so far his moves look good. And he's the 3rd best team in the league at this time. At number 2, the Washington Redskins. They're the 2nd best team in this league. I want to believe so badly in Coach Philly in Canada, especially because I played him, and I was so thoroughly impressed with his game. But what I've said the last 2 weeks has come back to bite Philly, and he struggled to beat the Bears this weekend because he was not able to run the ball as effectively as he would like to, and I believe he kind of paid the price for it. He escaped with a win. I give him credit because when you cannot play your best game and still win, you're a force to be reckoned with. But I just don't believe in that team 100% until they get some kind of pass game. Again, 6-7 games in the season, he's not even cracked 900 yards passing. And I believe sooner or later you're going to run into the person that has the run defense to stop that team. And I'd be really, really curious to see what he's going to do to respond. Awesome defense. Number 1 ranked in the league. Awesome run game, but no pass game. And without balance, I believe he'll get his fair share of wins, but I believe sooner or later he's going to run into somebody that can stop that run, and it's going to be really interesting. So until the Redskins develop a pass game, I can't put them as my number 1 team. Who I can put is the number 1 ranked team in the NBL is the Minnesota Vikings. Candyman. Is anybody really surprised? This guy does this season in and season out. What's new? And he does it with the same formula every single season, every single game, every single year, no matter how the game plays. He starts and ends his offense with the run game. When he can't run to get first down the way he wants to, he conservatively passes using a smart combination of zone and man beats. On defense, he's not going to blitz you a whole lot. He's going to play a coverage-based, cover 3 type defense, and he's going to lock you down. He's going to take away what you like to do. Yeah, you might be able to hit him with a few different pass plays. As you get into that second and third quarter, he's going to adjust. He's going to take that away. And if you don't have a deep arsenal on offense of what you can do, he's going to force you to make a mistake. And when you make a mistake, you're done because he won't make any, and he'll capitalize on that. So until somebody shows me otherwise, the Minnesota Vikings and Candyman at 6-0 are the number 1 ranked team according to Ty's top 5 power ranking. So at this time, I'd like to get into my Madden-based part of the show where I kind of throw something out there that I feel can help people out. And today I want to talk about Madden Gems. And some people may be wondering, what is a Madden Gem? Everybody that plays Madden and CCM knows most people are driven and obsessed by attributes. Everyone wants speed. Everyone wants hit power. Everyone wants awareness. So it's easy. Perfect example. If you're playing with, let's say, the Dallas Cowboys, it's easy to key in on DeMarcus Ware as your go-to guy because stat-wise, the guy's a monster. What's not easy is realizing that a guy like Sean Lee or Bruce Carter may not have the attributes and awareness and stats that DeMarcus Ware has. But if you can figure out a way to effectively utilize that guy in your scheme on offense and defense, you can be a player. I'm going to use my team in the Detroit Lions for a perfect example because I know my team better than I know some other teams. Okay, we all know in this game that the more you can do personally as a user and the less you depend on a computer, the better off you're going to be. If your offensive defense is predicated solely upon letting the computer do what it does, you're not going to go very far. You need at some point to be able to click onto a player, either a wide receiver to make a user catch or a defensive player to make a play to be successful. Now on my team, I have Calvin Johnson. Okay, everyone knows Megatron's the highest, best-rated wide receiver in our game. But you're right, everybody does know that. So when I play anybody, the first thing they're doing is they're looking to shift and shade coverage and zone towards Calvin Johnson. They're looking to take him out the game. So I would be very foolish to try to force and pump the ball into Calvin Johnson on a regular basis, and I probably wouldn't have much luck, and I'd probably have a lot of turnovers. So what do you do in that situation? You find what's called a Madden Gem, which is what this conversation is all about. Now, I had a receiver on my roster named Chris Durham. Chris Durham is 6'5", 87 speed. Excuse me, Chris Durham is 6'6", even taller than Calvin Johnson. So I knew if I put this guy opposite Calvin Johnson in my second slot, no one was going to pay him any attention because no one ever heard of this guy. So I put him in. He has one catch in the first game of the season. He gets hurt after that catch, so I don't have him. So what do? I have Nate Burleson. I'm thinking to myself, I could put Nate Burleson at the 2-hole opposite him, but you know what? He's a smaller receiver. So I go into the free agent wire, and I pick up Dominic Hickson. Dominic Hickson was the Giants' slot receiver last year. I'm a Giants fan. I play with the Giants on Madden, so I know this guy's spectacular catch is pretty good, and the guy's very fast. And his catch is pretty good. Now, mind you, I picked this guy up for free agency. Sure enough, Dominic Hickson's 6'1", 197 pounds. Spec catches at close to 90. His catch is at like the high 80s. Now, his catch in traffic is not that good. So I'm thinking, if I pick this guy up, my user catch is pretty good in the game this year. I can click on and I can make plays with him, and I can force people to pay that want to double Calvin Johnson. And I'll be damned if my strategy didn't work. Up until the advance, Dominic Hickson was the third best receiver in all of the league. And I know a bunch of people probably never even heard of this guy. This is a Madden gem. He's a guy that doesn't have the big name in the game. He's a guy that doesn't have the best stats, but he's a guy that if you know how to properly utilize him, he can be very effective in an offense. Now on defense, same thing. I have a guy named Chris Greenwood. Chris Greenwood is a second-year cornerback. Low awareness, man in zone average at best, and that's maybe a reach, but the guy's 96 speed. Now, if I didn't use this player and I just put him out on the field, he may get abused. Yeah, he's fast, but he doesn't have very good man in zone. So what I did was I took him out of my cornerback position and I put him on the field at my free safety because I like to use either safety or linebacker, depending on what I'm trying to do. Now, keep in mind, it doesn't matter what his zone, what his man, and what his awareness is if I'm using him because I'm controlling him. So in a lot of my defensive schemes lately, I'll click on my safety and I'll come down for run help in the box if somebody's run heavy. At the same time, Chris Greenwood is fast enough that if it's not a run, I can get back and I can go ahead and I can do some damage in the pass game in terms of stopping or taking something away. The point I'm trying to make here is, guys, you need to look at your roster, you need to look at free agency, and you need to look at things other than the stats that come across your mind that we all think are good to go. Okay? If you're going to use to control somebody, it doesn't matter what their awareness is, folks. It doesn't matter what their man of zone is because you're controlling them. I'm pretty sure in every roster across the league, you have somebody on your team that maybe has 88. Perfect example, I just picked up Rasheem Mathis off the free agency list. Man in zone are off the charts. Awareness is off the charts, but he's 88 speed. So he was recently cut, I want to say, by the Colts. Now, I know what the thinking was. Well, he's too slow to be effective in my offense. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make year in and year out is they get so caught up in stats that they forget real football. Rasheem Mathis is a playmaker. I don't care that he's not as fast as he used to be. On my Giants, Corey Webster's a playmaker. Don't care that he's not as fast as he used to be. Are you telling me you can't put that guy in a slot and make something good happen? Guys, don't get so wrapped up and caught up in the stats that you're sitting playmakers on your bench and you're not utilizing people. And guess what? If they don't have the best attributes, is that a player you can use it personally? Because if it is, if you want to win this game, you want to be successful, you have to put your best players on the field. And your best players on the field aren't necessarily the guys with the best stats. A playmaker is a playmaker. Okay? So, at this time, now that we've discussed Madden Gems, I'd like to talk about playing for Season 2. I've noticed that for this to be the first season of a new game, I don't feel as if everyone has been exactly enthusiastic about getting their games played in. There was a time in our league, even last year, when as soon as the events happened, especially on the weekend, 9, 10, 11 games got played. Now we'll get to day 3 or 4 of an advance and there's only 5 or 6 games played. I don't know if it's the fact that Grand Theft's come out and more people are tuned to that, because a lot of my Madden buddies on my list are playing Grand Theft. I don't know if it's the fact that a lot of people don't like the game this year. Really can't put my hand on what it is, but the attendance and the attention to playing games has not been there. So, that being said, I'll say this. Now that we're kind of at the halfway point of the season, and you may have some teams that feel like, well, I'm out of it and I don't have nothing to play for, so I'm not really going to pay attention to playing my games, I think you have the wrong attitude. I think you need to understand that we don't play CCM to play one season. We play CCM for the long haul. Okay? This is a great time of the season, even if you're not winning. Okay? Now that we're playing in a cap league, this is a chance to evaluate those high salary guys coming up for renegotiation. Do you want to keep these guys or not? Well, you need to play them to see how they play in your schemes. This is a chance to find all those young Madden gems on your roster that no one knows about, that no one's paying attention to, like I told you, like on my team, Chris Greenwood and Dominic Hickson, and play those guys and see if you can use those guys. And if you can, now you don't need to retain the high-dollar free agents that's killing you cap-wise. Okay? Everything you do from now until the end of this season, it sets up your draft for Season 2, and it sets up your team for Season 2. If you guys remember last year, I was mediocre. No, I was bad in Season 1 of last year. I was average in Season 2, and in Season 3 and 4, I was a powerhouse. And it's because even though I didn't do so well in Season 1 and 2 of last year, adjusting to the game, I was steady making moves to my roster to prepare them, to put them in a position to be the best team that I could have for the long haul. Well, we're only going 3 seasons this year, but you have the same opportunity to do the same thing this year, and it starts now. Please don't give up on your season. Please don't go through the motions. Please don't start taking a bunch of sims, because what you're doing is not only giving up on this season, you're giving up on Season 2 and 3 as well. You're guaranteeing yourself a full-on year of misery in NBL. Take this time to study your roster, to make some moves, to start some young guys, to really assess your old guys and see if these are guys you want to go forward with. Hell, take a chance. Pick up some people from free agency in some areas that you think you have weakness in. Again, if you know how to look at the game right, there's plenty of Madden gems in free agency still. And last but not least, I'm going to end the show with an NFL rant. Now, I told you guys, I said, listen, whenever I do these shows, we talk strictly NBL. I'm going to, at the end of the shows, look at the NFL, and I'm going to break some things down and give you my takes. Last show, I went off on Phillip Rivers. This year's the entire NFC least. The NFC East, for the longest, has been recognized as one of the best divisions in football, period. End of discussion, bar none. And I'm looking at the NFC East this year, and as of today, the Philadelphia Eagles, with their win today, have now claimed first place, and I think that's just freaking disgusting. Okay? I think the division is disgusting. Okay? The Philadelphia Eagles don't know if they're coming or going. They've got a new coach. They've got a new system. They don't know what they want to do with Mike Vick. He can't stay healthy. Some games it's Nick Foles, some games it's not. They don't know if they want to pass first or run first. They can't keep their receivers healthy on the field, and their defense is a freaking sieve. Okay, the secondary is bad. Their linebacker core is average at best, and they don't have no push on the D-line. And you would think with all that being said, they'd be in last. No, they're in first. That goes to show you how bad the damn NFC least is this season. Okay? In second place are the Dallas Cowboys at 2-3. Now, year in and year out, Dallas Cowboy fan gets all PO'd and butthurt because they think their team should be doing a lot better than they are. And my thing is this, myopic Cowboy fan, at what point do you understand and realize your team is not that good? They haven't been America's team since the 70s. Stop that bullshit with we're America's team. You're not. The Green Bay Packers and Pittsburgh Steelers, on average, have more fans nationally than the Cowboys. Everyone's not tuned in to watch you. You're not that important. Get over yourself. Okay? They don't know whether they like Tony Romo or they hate Tony Romo. DeMarco Murray can't stay healthy. Okay? The offensive line's a freaking turnstile. It always has been. It always will be. They got rid of Rob Ryan because they thought he was the problem defensively, and they shifted to a 3-4. Well, defensively, they're not much better this year. Okay? That team has not had it together, honestly, since Jerry Jones ran Jimmy Johnson out of there. Yeah, I don't care that Barry Switzer got a Super Bowl a year later with the team Jimmy Johnson had. Ever since that point, they have not been right, and they will not be right. And that's your Dallas Cowboys. In third place, the Washington Redskins are 1-3. You know what? Panic in the nation's capital. Man, maybe we should start Kirk Cousins. We don't know about RG3. Here's the deal. RG3 had a great season last year. The guy's obviously not 100% from his injury last year. And I don't think it's that he's that much more hobbled by the injury. I think having to play with a knee brace has slowed him down and taken away from what he likes to do. I also think that he's rusty. Period, point blank, end of discussion. The guy didn't play all offseason. The guy didn't play in the preseason. I think Robert Griffin III needs to shut his pie hole. He needs to stop constantly bitching and moaning in the media and complaining. He needs to stop undermining Mike Shanahan. And the Redskins also need to overhaul that damn team. Okay? You got this great young quarterback. He's going through his growing pains this season due to the injury. Pierre Garçon can't stay healthy. Okay? Alfred Morris is not getting the ball as much as he should this year. And their defense is not as good as people think it is. Okay, you take away Arakpo and Kerrigan and maybe Fletcher, who's 100 years old, they've got nothing else. D'Angelo Hall is good, but he's a gambler. When he's on, he's on, but when he's not, he gets burned for big yards and deep. Okay, there are obviously many situations on this team that need to be addressed. They're at 1-3. And last, but certainly least, my damn team, the New York Giants. What the hell is going on? Okay, 0-6. 2 Super Bowls in 5 years, and you're freaking 0-6. I think you're the only winless team in the league aside from maybe Jacksonville. Because even freaking Pittsburgh won day against the Jets. Where should I even start with the Giants? Okay, let's start in the trenches. The offensive line. Chris Snee is out for the season. David Hill is injured. That line is old, they're unathletic, and they're injury prone. And they cannot protect Eli to save their life. On top of that, we have no run game. If the Giants are known for anything, it's a power run game. Well, it's kind of hard to have a power running game. Listen, here's everything you need to know about the Giants running game. We took Brandon Jacobs off free agency because we had nothing else. Okay? I'm not knocking Brandon. I'm just saying if your run game rests on the hope of a guy who we picked up off the street, you're not looking good. David Wilson's fast and he has flashes of brilliance, but the guy can't hold on to the freaking football. And if you can't hold to the football and Tom Coughlin's team, you're not playing. And now he's out with a neck injury. So the Giants can't block anybody. They can't run the ball. And Eli Manning has proven this year he can't carry a team on his shoulders. It's not all his fault, but he's leading the league in interceptions. He looks like a deer caught in the headlights. He's trying to force and make things happen. It's not there. I don't know, maybe he's scared to death because he can't get a freaking block in front of him. Maybe he's scared to death because he has to throw the ball 55 times a game. But that's not the formula for success in New York. And on defense, JPP hasn't looked right since he's come back from injury. Justin Tuck's been AWOL for the last 2 years. I knew the loss of OCU New York was going to hurt, and he's probably sitting there in Atlanta, even though they're not doing much better, but he's laughing his ass off. And we just can't generate pressure up front. The Giants haven't had a decent linebacking core since the early 90s when they had Jesse Armstead and Antonio Pierce. The Giants linebacking core sucks. Hopefully John Beeson can revitalize his career in New York and take charge and show them young linebackers how to play football. And the Giants secondary is ass. Straight up and down. Prince Amukamara is the only thing about the secondary I like, along with Antrell Roll. I like Stevie Ryan too, but since he's out pretty much for the damn season, I can't count him in. Antrell Roll's a definitely decent, serviceable safety. But aside from those three, Terrell Thomas, yeah, I'm glad he's back after 2 or 3 ACLs, but he's just a body at this point. Aaron Ross looks like he's 75, and they should have left him in Jacksonville. Corey Webster hasn't been the same since, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. He's older, he's slower, he's ineffective, and we need help bad. At this point, I'm like, Jim Morrow, playoffs? Playoffs? I don't care how bad the freaking division is. We got no shot in hell of doing anything. I'm just looking for a couple of damn wins. Can we at least win 3 or 4? And I'll tell you what, Jerry Reese, you better draft some freaking secondary, some linebackers, some offensive line. Stop drafting D linemen. We don't need 85 D linemen on the team. Can we please get a corner? Can we please get a linebacker? I mean, please, I'm begging. Well, at this time, that's my breakdown of the NFC East. Hope you guys enjoyed another edition of Coach Ty's Corner. Don't know when the next one will be, maybe in a couple of weeks. Thanks to Officer Reggie for engineering and putting the show together. Thank you to the NBL, Matt and Brother League, for listening to the show. You guys take it easy. Hopefully everyone can make some adjustments and some tweaks and enjoy this second half of the football season. Thank you guys. Coach Ty is out. Peace.